I saw him tell this story. I know he's told it before about him being clawed by demons while asleep in bed with his wife
Mm.
and 4 dogs. And again, this was accepted by so many as, I guess, fact is this could happen. And there
Yeah.
were 4 dogs in that bed. What's happening here?
Who knows? It seems it's 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 incredible. Half of the culture, at least half, receives that story in a very different way. I mean, I hear him tell that story, and I've heard it at least in two contexts. I think I heard it on it's on somebody else's podcast, and I think he was on stage with Megan Kelly or somebody. He told it, and it was um, to my ear. I mean, the next question is, how does this guy have an audience, right? How does he maintain his audience telling this story? I mean, it's so there's something self-aggrandizing about that story, right? I mean, the only reason why a demon would attack you is the perception that your work is so important, right? You're doing the work of God so effectively that you've now attracted the attention of Satan himself and his retinue, and they're pulling out all the stops to thwart your very important work, right? That's the subtext to that story, right? And that I completely missed. I thought, okay, here's a guy who's just showing us how crazy and gullible he is, and how crazy and gullible he thinks his audience is. Um, he's become his mind has become one of those crappy broadsheets that you used to see next to the cash register in a supermarket, right? The News of the World or whatever that was, next to the National Enquirer, where like the Bat Boy and the alien craft was found, and the Roswell bodies were recovered, etc. I mean, that's his mind, and he's happy to show that mind to his audience, but it's because it works for him. I mean, everyone who believes that about him thinks this is, he just won the Nobel Prize for spiritual importance in that audience. I mean, this is just, it's a totally moronic fact about us that we even have to talk about this. But the reason why this is not just funny is that Tucker could run for president, right? He could credibly run for president in as early as 2028, right? I mean, this is not peripheral to our political concerns that tens of millions of people find this guy an important voice of insight, right? And Tucker's telling us, and Joe Rogan too. All these guys who interviewed Tucker, the All In podcast guys, and Rogan, and they treat him like he's a totally sane representative of real journalism, right? Like the mainstream media has failed. All those institutions have embarrassed themselves. They're totally lacking in credibility because of how wrong they got COVID. I guess that's the punchline for most of these people. And so, no, the real journalism is coming from people like Tucker, and so half of our society is stuck with that kind of, obviously the crazy religious ultra red pilled part of the right is there, but also Joe Rogan's audience is there. The All In podcast audience is there. I mean, if you saw how these guys conducted their conversations with Tucker, there was no daylight between them and this total crackpot.